Welcome, everyone. It is a bit after our starting time for Community Preservation Committee Public Informational Hearing. With us tonight, we have Joanne Horacek, Chris Pratt, John Wally, Dave Spina at the table. We have Beth Thomas on Zoom. And we have Brian Harriman, who is not sworn in yet, but is here. I'd like to introduce him. You want to give us a wave, Brian? All right.
Brian?
Oh, Rick. Sorry, Rick.
Yeah.
It was in my brain. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apologize. Rick Harriman. Okay. We can start. If anybody has any public comment, questions before we start, maybe we could answer some of those things.
We're gonna have a discussion for the informational meeting.
I mean, I'd like to be able to have people have answers to some of their questions.
They should be
If
able
they
to tell
have.
us like what they want to. It should be a conversation though.
Yeah, we can talk.
Yeah,
Okay, we can talk.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
That's why I just said it.
Uh-oh.
Is any-
Marcus Phelps, 28 Depot Street.
Yeah. Thanks.
So this is some input on the Community Preservation Committee analyzing proposals that are submitted, projects that are submitted. And in the last couple of years, I guess I've observed, of course, projects that come in for developed recreation. And I don't know if they're properly analyzed as to the budget impact. Like the life cycle of the project that's being proposed, whether it's a water park or some other developed recreation, pickleball courts and so forth. What is going to be, besides the initial cost of getting it constructed, what are the annual expenses in management, maintenance, and that sort of thing? And I think that's where we get caught up. I noticed in our 2025 budget, I think it's under Park and Recreation, there's a significant amount of money to pay a water bill. So is that a surprise that we were gonna have that expense to pay for water? I don't know. But just other things like that, develop recreation projects.
Right, and we did
And
talk considerably and have many questions about the water usage and how that was gonna be done and taken care of, and we did have open conversation about that at our public hearings. Did it weigh in? Yes, it did weigh in. But as far as, did we think it was too much? I don't believe we did at that time. But it seems like every June we do have a water shortage, so I mean.
And the other related to that or any project is, I guess you require 3 cost estimates on projects. If people are coming in proposing, you ask for 3 estimates. Maybe
Depends on the cost of the project, yes. It has to go through the bidding
Well,
cycle.
that's the other thing, to keep an eye on, is it's just a swag, or if it's actual, consultant. The project is saying this is what it's gonna cost to pour cement or whatever else it goes on. Finally, anything that comes in, a project that's proposed, would be nice, I think, if it linked to the master plan. There's a lot of information as to action items in the master plan.
Yeah, we would like to see new projects come in that do link to the master plan. That's kind of what the word we want to get out is to bring forth those kinds of projects. So we would love to see that type of thing come forward.
That's my 3 cents.
That was like 5 cents, but it was, the nickel's good. All right, thank you, Marcus. Anybody else? Yes,
And
we just have to say your name and address formality.
Shomar, I live at 22 Wakefield Circle, and I am a past president of the Historical Society and the current board member. And I think we're interested in 74 College Highway because it abuts our historic property.
Mhm.
And, I have to say, we're really glad that the cannabis growing facility didn't go in, because to be at a, two wonderful properties. It's the Southwick Museum. If you've not been there, I
Yeah.
hope you'll go if you haven't been there, because it's really worthwhile. So we've been really good, I think, stewards and caretakers of that. We're open 12 times in the year, May, June, July, August, September, twice a year for free tours. And then we do 6, 8 monthly meetings as well, all open to the public. So we're just a little group of people interested in the history of the town, and would really wonder how can we work perhaps with CPC to preserve that land, which is 74 College Highway,
Mhm.
instead of an industrial zone, restricted zone that's next to us. How can we work together so that we could consider preserving that open space and just adding that whole, whether it's walking trails or whatever.
Yeah.
Around the historic buildings. If you've not come, we'd love to have you come. John, I'd love to have you come, because I know we worked with you when you were chair. Through a lot of ups and downs, but I think we've done it and we've maintained a really advantage well. And I also want to thank you for the money that we were able to receive last year. And if you've gone by recently, you've noticed that the carpenter has done the repair work on the house, which is 1751. And Joseph Moore walked at age 54 from that house to the Battle of Kips Bay and was taken a prisoner of war and died in New York City at the Revolutionary time. So there's a lot of wonderful history here in town. And then shortly in August, the painting will be done. So that will really gratefully appreciate the money that we were able to do to help preserve the buildings. But that's kind of why I'm here. I know Lee's been a long-time board member,
Mhm.
and you probably all know Lee. He's
Sure.
Better for work.
He's been here a few times presenting projects, of
And
course.
so we're very interested to see how can we help preserve that property for the community in whatever way.
Mhm.
do. So that's kind of why I'm here tonight, Lee's here tonight. And,
Yeah.
just for some kind of thoughtful discussion to begin, how can we do something together?
Yeah, well, we might have another discussion at our next meeting about that. This one's more informational, but that's definitely some of the things that we'd like to see come forward, those kinds of projects. So,
Come visit us.
or I would anyway. I can't speak for everybody else, but
Yeah, if you haven't visited, come visit.
Leah actually gave me a nice tour around the house.
Yeah.
We're out there looking
Yeah,
at some of the
it was-
carpentry work, so
50-cent tour.
the 50-cent tour, but it was very interesting.
It's a nice private
Did you go
tour.
to the cigar factory?
No, just the house. So,
What is that? One of the few remaining windlasses, 8-foot windlasses in Tobacco Valley?
They're not common.
yeah,
Pretty interesting.
okay,
Thank you.
sure enough. And we're going to go to our PowerPoints.
I just gotta share it.
Yeah.
Share.
I don't think so. No hands up.
Start slideshow. Oh, I wish I didn't put that there.
That's why she moved her away. It's been like her phone.
Yeah, this is tough right now, guys.
Where are you gonna put it?
You can hit the minimize on the upper left.
There it is. There you go. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Beth, we can hear you.
Okay. So here we have a PowerPoint that runs through a lot of the aspects of what community preservation is, what we've used money for, and how you can go about receiving money from the Community Preservation Act. All right, so
Just let me know when you want me to advance.
next, is that good?
Oh, wait, how do I?
Or maybe we won't watch it.
No, we will. I'll figure it out.
There you go.
Start slideshow.
You should just be able to click on your mouse.
Ah, it's there you go.
There it is.
I was using these. Okay,
Okay,
so this is just like the.
So,
overview of what's going on.
The Community Preservation Act was enacted probably, I would say, 20 years ago. We adopted it. Shortly after that, we were one of the first communities to accept that in our town. We formed a community preservation ad hoc committee to research it and to present it at a town meeting where it was voted in. And we do receive funding from the state for different projects. And we're hoping that we get some applications to use this money that is being raised through your taxes. And we will find out how that happens next. Okay, Community Preservation is an act. It's a smart growth tool that helps communities preserve open space and historical sites. Like Mrs. Schumer was talking about, and create affordable housing and develop outdoor recreation facilities. We have used money for those things in town already and hoping to enrich the town for the wonderful aspects that it has already. So we'll move it along there. Okay, in the state, 195 communities have passed it. 70% of the residents live in a CPA community. $3.15 billion have been raised statewide. And that money comes from revenue raised through the Registry of Deeds, when it comes through the fees from the Registry of Deeds. So the more houses get sold, the more deeds that get turned over,
You can,
Well,
you
that
can
makes-
drive. Why am I doing this?
right? I was wondering the same thing. The more money there is in the state.
Yeah, left click.
Looks like you're going.
Left click, not used to, I'm used to a Mac. Okay, and if you look at the map, we can see the cities and state, the cities and towns that have adopted the CPA. The green are the towns and the orange or yellow are the cities. You can see that quite a few have adopted it, especially in the more densely populated areas. Okay, the impacts. We can see how many acres of open space have been adopted. How many outdoor recreation projects were completed. Housing units created. Maybe we'd be looking for something more to do with housing in our town. We have a lot of money in our housing fund. Okay. Snooze. Okay. CPC is created by an ordinance that we did adopt in our town. There are 5 statutory members placed through the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Housing Authority, Parks and Recreation, and Historical Commission. There are 4 at-large members, which are now voted through the town. And these are who we have on our board right now.
No change.
Yeah, we're gonna this will be updated. Just, we still have some who are not here and some who need to be put on. Okay, the ongoing requirements of the CPC are to hold public hearing once a year, update the plan, review account balances, and make sure that spending to ensure it is compliance with the act. Make sure that we have a budget. We vote that in every year at our town meeting, and make project recommendations. And that's when projects come forth from the community. Available funds, we can see our pie chart here. We have our general and reserve fund, which is most of it, because that is 70% of where we put our money into the budget. We also put in 10%, or is it 65%, I believe. And we put in 10% each into open space and recreation, 10% into housing, and then 10% to historic. And you can see where our money is being used. The larger the pie is the less use historic, housing, and open space and recreation.
Necessarily per project though.
Not per project, but per our use in town. You can see where we use it the most. Our general and reserve can be used for any one of those other places. Our revenue sources come from a local surcharge, which is 3% of the property tax that you pay after the first $100,000. And it also comes from an annual trust fund distribution, which I already talked about. That comes from the Registry of Deeds, and also interest that is in the account. We can see our revenue, where it's come from. Our annual budget, which I already talked about. Which I did not talk about, the 5% administrative expenses. Which we do vote in, because we do use that for staffing and also for other things that might pop up, like appraisals or things like that. We have a 3% surcharge in this town, and the way that pans out is after the first $100,000 exemption, the tax is raised on the leftover money. Say your house is valued at $300,000. We subtract the first $100,000, your valuation or your taxed amount is on the 200,000 at the tax rate of $16.75 per thousand, comes out to $3,350 in taxes. You multiply that times our surcharge, and it comes out to about $100 a year that you are actually paying towards the Community Preservation Act in town. So for all the projects that come in, that's your donation. So you are also entitled to come to town meeting and vote on these projects. The benefit to the 3% surcharge is that we get distribution more than once. The communities that have a 1%, they get only money from the first round of distribution. We get money from rounds 2 and 3 as well, because we have the 3%. So we are able to collect more money from the state because of that. And if we look at this, we can see the trust fund distributions over here. Our reimbursement rate this year was 47.58%, which isn't bad. As you can see, the other towns are a little bit different. The first $100,000 represent exemptions from the surcharge. First $100,000 residential applies to all residents. Low income residents can come into the assessor's office and get exemption from this through the town. Who's eligible? Anybody from government entity, 501c3 nonprofit organizations. Things that we have to be careful is non-incorporated entities and individual homeowners. Like, we're not going to come to your house and put a roof on because you say it's old. Okay, the spending rules, there's no supplanting from the general through the general municipal revenue. So in other words, we're not using the CPC taxes to pay for things that are maintenance or things like that on buildings in town. We can do some restoration work on historical buildings in town, but no maintenance or operating expenses. For recreation, it's outdoor projects only. We're not doing any gyms or things like that. Land purchases must be file permanent restriction with the state and held by a third party, like a land trust. You can pay for a CPA project with bonds issued against future revenue. So we can bond for things like we did with the Alum project. Okay, and this is just an allowable usage chart for open space, historic, recreation, and housing. All of them can be used for acquiring things. To create things, historic is a no, because if it's historic, you shouldn't be creating anything. Preserving things are all yeses. To support things, to support open space, no. Historic, no. Recreation, no. Housing is a yes. Okay, so housing as a little bonus on that section. To rehabilitate and restore, open space is no, unless acquired or created through CPC funding. Historic is a yes, recreation is a yes, and housing is a no unless also acquired or created with CPC funding. The life of the CPA project, we can see the process that you would go through, your plan or your dream of the project. Fill out and bring in an application. At the meeting here, we will have a hearing, review the project, might go back and forth a few times. If we recommend the project, it goes through the legislative body, which is all of you. That's at a town meeting. And you would decide whether or not to put the project through. And then the person who's brought the project forward will complete the project. Okay, these are the different things that can happen at town meeting. You can approve the recommendations of the CPC, reject them, reduce the amount recommended by the CPC, or you can reserve amount recommended by CPC to an applicable reserve account rather than approving the project. And that one is rarely used. Because monies, I think people understand, would rather, if they don't want the project, could be used for other things. So in the best interest of the budget, it'd be easier just to reject. Okay, these are some examples of the CPA projects in town. We have the North Pond property, Meadowview, Wally Park. There's that tobacco house. And then we have also preserved some documents at the town hall. Of course, there are many more. If you go on the website, you can see the list. And here we have our projects, a map of projects around town. You can see where they've gone. Here are some of the more recent projects that have been approved. Again, these will be all on, this PowerPoint will also be on the website shortly once we update our member list. Okay, examples of allowable projects. How to apply. I'm going to go online, click the little buttons that'll guide you through the process. And then if still being confused, or even if you're finished, you're going to get in touch with Sabrina. She is our community preservation coordinator. And she will guide you through. Thank you, Sabrina. Nicely done. Back to you.
Great, so. I don't know if you want to open it up for comments.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments on that section? Marcus, say your name and address again.
Marcus Phelps, 28 Depot Street. Any changes to the legislation
As far as,
recently as to the use of the money? I know there was a big change a few years back where cities ended up being able to use money on already existing,
correct,
developed recreational sites.
that was kind of way back, I think in 2010, I believe, so that was
Very historical.
way back.
So there's nothing else on the horizon.
Nothing right now, that's changed, yeah.
So it's working fine. There's really nothing like bugging people.
No. Everything's hunky-dory.
Things that.
Yeah, I mean, throughout the state, things have been going well. The legislators at the state level do like this. They keep on putting it forward. They do approve the budgets. Every once in a while, the funds are a little bit lower than what we anticipate them to be, but we're still getting a great amount of money bang for our buck through the taxes. So we're generating a lot of money through this act in town. For our little 0.3% or, our 3%, we're getting a lot back in return. Of course, these are used on, I wouldn't call them fluff projects, but they're projects that enhance our community and make life better here, I think. They aren't just maintenance projects or everyday things that, that we expect to have happen anyway. They're over and above. All right. All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn from this meeting.
Dave Spina, so moved.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Dave Spina, aye.
John Wally,
Aye.
Chris Pratt, aye. Beth Thomas,
Oh, Beth? Sorry, one more time? Can you hear us?
I can.
Oh,
but
oh,
you
yeah,
can't hear
no.
Me again.
yeah, we can, there you go. Do you agree with us adjourning?
I agree.
Okay. We will move on to our second meeting.
To what? This one right now?
Are they two separate meetings?
Yes, they're
Yes.
two separate meetings.
Yeah,
All
we're
right,
gonna be
so,
opening that in a second.
I'm gonna end meeting for all. Guys, if you're signed on, you're gonna have to sign on to the other Zoom link, to join that meeting.
Yes, Beth.
And yes, Beth, you would have to do that too.